Hello, 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 everybody. This is Irina Strunina, and this is our podcast, Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360. We go live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and usually I invite different healthcare professionals to be my guests, and we talk about their expertise and experience, and they share different tips and tricks, and this is how it goes usually. But on every last Thursday of the month, I'm inviting people who actually live with diabetes, people who have this experience from inside out. And it's not easy to find those who are willing to share. Unfortunately, people are shy and they not brave enough to go on camera and talk about it. But so that's why I really always happy to speak with those who is brave enough to speak with me. And today we have Felix as my guest. We call these episodes Diabetic Warriors. So uh, he agreed to speak with me about his personal experience. And to begin with, Felix, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're on your diabetic journey, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. So, like Karina said, my name is Felix. I was diagnosed as a diabetic back in February of 2025. So, I've not been diabetic for long, or at least not known about it for long. Um, yeah.
So it's 6 months in, about 6 months, right?
hmm
So
Wild to think about.
yeah, well, the thing is that this podcast, people may listen on the day when we go on air, or maybe it will be
hmm
someone listening next year. So, but just for the record, we are speaking with someone who have known about the diagnosis for half a year. And
hmm
so, how did you learn about it? What happened?
So, the running joke with all of this is that I had a really nasty, gnarly case of strep throat that tried to kill me, and it ended up saving my life. Because back in February, I had the worst case of strep throat I've ever had. My sublingual salivary gland and was swollen. My throat was sore. I could hardly eat. I could hardly open my mouth. It was miserable. And after about a week, I had gone to urgent care and I was like, something's got to give. They gave me antibiotics. And the next day, I woke up and I'm like, I'm having a hard time breathing, thinking, okay, I've never had a reaction to antibiotics before, or but anything's possible. And I went to my husband, who was fortunately working from home that day, and said, I'm having a hard time breathing, and I think it's a good reason to go to the ER. So we did. And to make a long and short of it, they took me back pretty quickly. They did a CT scan because I couldn't open my mouth enough for them to see what was going on. And they're like, the good news is you're not having an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. The bad news is the infection's so bad that your tonsils are swollen and that's blocking off your airway.
Hmm.
But as part of that CT, they did blood work and the PA came back and he was like, "Hey, your sugar's like super high. Are you diabetic?" And I was like, "Not that I know of." And so it's kind of how all that got started. That in the ER that day, fasting, my blood sugar was 245, and
Okay.
the PA had said, like, if you're sick, of course they can elevate your sugar, but that's like way more than what we'd expect for just
Hmm.
you're sick and your body's angry about it. So I saw a doc and got reestablished to the PCP the following week, and my A1C came back at 10,
Okay.
and it was definitely an ice water bath for me, right? Like, I have a family history of diabetes. Is I knew about on my mom's side. Turns out I have it on my dad's side as well. And like, thanks guys for the heads up. So I figured for a long time, I'm like, well, it's not an if, it's a when, but I didn't expect that when to be at 33,
Yeah.
right? Like, I expected it to be, if ever, much later down the road.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, this is what we are noticing now, that more and more younger people getting diagnosed with that. And if in the past we kind of would assign diabetes to the diagnosis for people who are already retired, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
because of this they don't move much, and maybe because of different dietary issues. But now we see a lot of working force people, people who go to work, people who are young, for whom it's 20 years ahead of them to until, or maybe 30, until they will be qualified to retire. And this diagnosis is coming up. This is not a good trend. So put let's put some information out so more people will be aware and will be on the
Mm-hmm.
lookout, because this is my main goal here, to provide as much information and support to everyone who ever thought about information to learn more about it, maybe because of the family history, maybe because they're just health conscious people and want to prevent in the future. And so let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about this. So you said that 6 months ago it was 10. I've heard that you actually
Mm-hmm.
made some changes. And what are your results now? What is your blood work right now?
So end of February came my A1C came back at 10, and when I saw my doc again at the end of May, I came down to 6.3.
Wow, nice, very nice. So from being a real serious person with the fully developed diabetes, you came to pre-diabetes zone. This is
Mm-hmm.
what did you do? What did you do to get to this result?
So one of the other running jokes is that I am in part powered by spite. But at the time of my diagnosis, I had seen the lab work before I saw the doc again to establish, like, okay, what are we going to do about this? And at that time, I went scorched earth. Any sugary things in the house, we threw them out. It was honestly very cathartic. I did a lot of research and poked around a little bit to kind of figure out, okay, what do we need to do from here? What are my options? How quickly can I bring this down? What can I do about this? And when I saw the doc again the following week, she's is just rattling off all the things that I can do, and I'm like, yep, I know, yep. And my poor husband is sitting in the chair or across from me, just white as a ghost. I was like totally wigging out, and she had said, like, we listed all these things off, and I said, I'd really like to try and do more of these things on my own. I don't want
Mhm.
to start insulin at this point. I'm not at I'm not ready to like pull every single lever yet. Let me see what I can do on my own. And I said, I've already gone scorched earth. I've already made those drastic changes. And honestly, she kind of blew me off a little bit. And I think, myself as a healthcare professional, we see it a lot where talk is cheap, and you kind of got to put your money where your mouth is. And so she was like, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's come see me again in 3 months, and we'll retest from there and go from there. But honestly, I've had a lot of people who talk a big game but then can't stick with it.
Mhm.
And so then she set me up with the diabetes self-management. So I met with the nurse educator, I met the dietitian. I did 4 2-hour classes with the two of them, and most of it was helpful, and it was nice to have a little bit of camaraderie too
Yes.
with the other people in the class, and to like have valid good information. But I started going to the gym 3 times a week at the advice of my dietitian. I started adding in strength training, and that
Mhm.
has been huge for that. And I find that, like, on the days that I'm at the gym and I'm doing that strength training, I have a lot more grace, so to speak, with my sugar. Um, I did have a CGM initially, and that was super fantastic. And if anybody can get their hands on that, whether or not the insurance will cover it is another story.
Mm-hmm.
But that was amazing to get insight about, okay, what affects my blood sugar, what doesn't, what can where can I get away, what can I get away with, so to speak, where and just to have that insight of, okay, what is my sugar doing throughout the night, and you can see it more in real time, which was really helpful.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, you said that so you started eating better. You adjusted what you
oh,
eat.
1,000%.
You
Yep.
added physical activities to it,
Mhm.
and you got the CGM, so you got better monitoring and informational piece, and you also read everything, and you went to those classes. This is great. This is great
Mhm.
program, and I wish every doctor had in hands this available for their patients. So, and did you
Oh
take any
yes.
medication doing all this, or you decided to go without medication?
I'm taking metformin 500 milligrams every morning and every night, but other than that, there's nothing med-wise for my blood sugar.
Perfect, perfect. Did you have any reaction to metformin?
I didn't, surprisingly, and I know so many people who, when they start metformin, it causes them a lot of like indigestion, upset stomach, etc. But for I know most people, when they start it, it resolves after the first couple of weeks once their body adapts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the changes to my diet too, when I was eating so much better and eating less of the processed foods, it was in just really watching the carbs, especially, and eating more fiber. Like I had a stomach was a little upset the first couple of days, but it was all still on the tail end of the antibiotics for the strep. Once
Mm-hmm.
that was done, it has been absolutely no problems, and I'm really grateful that I was one of the lucky ones that I've never really had any problems with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you see, we just spoke about it yesterday at our support group meeting with our dietitian and other ladies that were in on the meeting, and the the way how I look at it, our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, is pretty big group, but still, this
Mm-hmm.
is just a small number of people who have this diagnosis, which indicates that
Mm-hmm.
they are looking for information, they are looking for camaraderie, for experiences, all this. So they found our Facebook group. How many more people out there who decided that they will take the medication and forget about it? And they
Mm-hmm.
continue living the life how they live, don't make any changes, they just take medication and periodically complain that medication doesn't work. So,
Right.
so in our group, because we have active people anyways, we hear more about different reactions that their body might have. But even with that, I can say that still a percentage of people for whom metformin is actually working, just like for yourself, is larger
Mm-hmm.
than those who had
Yeah.
problems with it. Every medication would have some side effects, and unfortunately, our bodies, we cannot predict what will happen, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so now here's my one of my favorite questions. Did you have any aha moments in when you were doing all the changes and establishing the routines, or did you learn something about yourself that you didn't, that you were surprised, or something about diabetes that you didn't know since you have some medical degree and background? Some.
Right. I think I think the biggest thing for me is like, and again, and like, I'm a nurse by trade. I've been in home care for 8 years, and we talk to our patients a lot about their diabetes, right? And it's usually because our patient population skews older, a lot of it is more focused on the diet, the medications, and here are the risks and complications if it's not controlled. And we're focused, I especially myself, I focused less on the physical activity part of it because a lot of our peeps, that's not an option for them, right? So it's okay, I need you to focus on the things you can do. And so that was something where like I knew that exercise would help with a lot of this, but I wasn't real. But like I was definitely surprised to see how much of an impact that made. And again, with the CGM, seeing that in real time, and then when I added in the strength training, and like that was always something that I was really intimidated by, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that same way because it's very intimidating because you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm going to hurt myself doing this. I will say I go to Planet Fitness and all the strength training machines have a QR code on the machine so you can scan it and watch a video that will show you how to use it, which has been fantastic.
Yes.
But that was definitely my biggest. It's like, oh, okay, so I do this and I feel better. I feel stronger. It's helped me definitely lose some of the excess weight that I wanted to lose anyway, and it's really helped my sugar, and that's been a big game changer for a lot of this.
Perfect. So exercises and any kind of physical activities, and especially strength training. And I've heard the resistance training pretty much in the same
Hmm.
category is helping. And you have it proven with this data from CGM that you can download and see. Right? You can even see. Did you see anyhow the amount of sleep that you may have, did that affect your blood sugar levels? Did you
Oh
see?
yeah, and especially in my morning levels, like a lot of people in the group, I see it all the time. People are struggling with dawn phenomenon, where it's like, yep, my sugar is always highest in the morning, and I've seen that too, where it's like if I worked out the night before, or I'm feeling good and I got a good night's sleep, I'll get up, my sugar in the morning will be 110, 115.
Mm-hmm.
If it's, I slept for 4 hours, I'm stressed out, I was tossing and turning all night, I got up some blood sugar, my blood sugar to be 120, 125, 130. I think this morning, and the first time I checked, it was closer to 140, and I'm like, where did that come from?
Uh-huh.
That
Uh-huh.
is not like me at all.
Yes.
But
All right. Okay, so let's talk about the recommendations. So now you have this experience yourself. Before it was a theory,
mhm.
now you have it yourself. What would you recommend for someone who got a phone call today morning saying your blood work showed you have type 2 diabetes? Try to eat better, exercise more, and let's schedule the follow up in 3 months, and they didn't get any more instructions, directions, or anything. What would you recommend or suggest to those people?
And that's kind of how I felt a little bit like when I was at myself, and that was when I loved meeting with the educator because she kind of like metaphorically speaking took me by the hand and said, it's going to be okay, you'll be fine, you're going to get through this. But I think the biggest thing I'd recommend for anybody who's new to all this, give yourself grace. It is especially if you're somebody like me, like I drank Mountain Dew like it was going on a style. I I am married to an Italian, everything is pasta, everything is carbs, and that has been a hard adjustment. For the most part, it's been fine. But I think the biggest thing with this or any other or issue you're fighting with, or your any disease or illness that you're dealing with, give yourself that grace. We're human, and it's really important to find that balance between I am always I need to strive for perfection because anything less than perfection is failure, and like trying to find that balance of like it's okay, you can have a little bit of birthday cake and make that part of your picture if that's what you want. But it's again, just give yourself some grace, and it is a bit of a learning curve, and it's a lot of it is figuring out what works for you, your body, your journey, and it may not work for everybody else, but it's yours, and you got to take it as it is, right? Like no one else can do it for you. But I think that's the biggest thing is it is
Right.
a learning curve. Don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect at it the first week, the first month. Like it's okay.
Yes. This is actually a good point because I see so often in our Facebook group people are saying, I give up. For 2 weeks, I was doing so I changed what I eat. I drink more water. I don't drink my, Coke, and my blood sugar is still there. I don't know what to do. So,
Hmm.
unfortunately, diabetes is not the condition that can be fixed in 2 weeks. It's
Right.
it was it was developing for so long. It's not happened overnight anyway. So when you learned about it, as you said, actually, when you learned about it, it doesn't mean that that night you got sick and that's your diagnosis. The strep could happen that night, overnight, right? But not
Right.
the diabetes. So and because it was developing for so long, it will not go away easy. It will
Right.
fight and it will try to stay and keep you as a carrier of this diagnosis. So let's be exactly, give yourself a grace, be patient. And I love that you mentioned that because sometimes we just so impatient and expect things to happen right
Hmm.
away. Okay, I noticed in your
Right.
story, you said something that when you went to doctor's office, your spouse went with you.
Hmm.
So he is
He
on
did, and he
board
was
with
terrified.
you. He is on board with you and supporting you, or he is fighting you, or what would you recommend? Let's say you have ideal caregiver supporter.
Hmm.
What describe for us, please, the ideal supporter and caregiver? What they need to know, what we caregivers need to know.
I think, and this is an area where my husband does struggle of like, sometimes I'm like, I love you. I just don't think you get it. Right. It's totally different when you're living it and really doing it. Like he's recently dipped his toe into the waters of going low carb because he's trying to lose a little bit of weight. And he's thinking that might help to keep him fuller longer if he's focusing on protein and fiber. And I'm like, that's great. But he's really struggling with that piece because, again, Italian, everything's pasta, everything's carbs, everything's bread. But I think that's be my biggest advice for any of the caregivers is, when you're trying to help your person, meet them where they are and just say, what can I do? What can I do to help you? I know this is frustrating, but what can I do to help you? Would you feel better if I followed this diet along with you versus are you comfortable if sometimes we're not eating the same meal, right? And that's hard when it's for us, it's just the two of us in the house. So that's tricky to do. But there are times where I'm like, if you want something that's not part of what I want to eat, I'm fine if you do something on your own. But I
Hmm.
think a lot of people all kind of struggle with that because it's like, well, we're married. We always eat the same things. We always eat together. And I'm like, you don't necessarily have to. And it's okay if, your non-diabetic caregiver wants to go out with their friends and go stuff their faces with pizza. That's totally fine. I'm not going to judge you for it. But like, it's just, that's part of the picture. So I think that's a lot of like trying to meet your person where they are and try to maybe sympathize as much as possible. And again, if that is something that they're interested in of can you do this with me, having that support is really important.
So, if I heard you right, you're suggesting to have a conversation to
Hmm.
to learn what help is actually needed, accepted, because I do know that when my husband got diagnosed, first of all, of course, he wouldn't talk about it to anybody, but relatives,
Right.
family knew, and that's when the hard time started because people who don't know that much what is our routine day to day, started sending books and sugar-free cookies and
Mhm.
things like that, which is uh, kind of thank you for worrying, but this is not what is needed. So the
Mhm.
conversation
All the
is
time.
very important. All right.
Right.
Well, Felix, thank you. I am happy that you agreed to be here and tell your story. I really believe that when people have the mindset like yourself, they are going to have the success and will stay with that. Because what unfortunately, I've heard these stories, um, number of times when people go cold turkey and they get everything under
Mhm.
control in 3 months and 4 months, and then they kind of relax and they kind of like, oh, I got it, and as soon as you let yourself loose, you may get everything back so fast that all your
Oh
sacrifice,
yeah.
all your struggle, and all the challenges will go down the drain, which is kind of sad. We don't want to lose that effort, right? It's
Right.
much better to have to build not even the momentum, build a new lifestyle, right?
Right. And build that foundation because, and again, my poor husband is like, I'm still even 6 months in, and I'm less militant and stringent than I was 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like finding that balance and giving yourself a little bit of grace that like not everything's gonna be perfect all the time. But he's like, but I don't. He's like, well, I don't understand. Like, there are people who are diabetic who don't do this and they're fine. And my big worry is, and again, especially given my professional background, is that for a lot of people, it's fine until it's not.
Yes.
And then they're scrambling to, like you said, to they've gained that progress, and then they kind of fall off the wagon a little bit, start to lose some of that progress, and then they're trying, then they're swinging back too far, and now they're trying to climb back, and they're claw their way back to where they were, and it's like it's hard. It's hard. You definitely have to stick with it. And again, if you fall off, you get back up, and tomorrow's another day.
Yes, that's a good actually recommendation, and I believe that this must work. Tomorrow is another day, as long as it is not the everyday story,
Mm-hmm.
because we have this happening also. It's every day. Tomorrow is another day. Hey, yes, let's use that chance and make it another day, not like the day like yesterday. And but one thing that I've heard, once you allow yourself to fall back so far, it's what you had to go through in the first place, and it's hard
Mm-hmm.
to force yourself because first time it's all unknown and it's a discovery. It's kind of an adventure, and you're looking for results and you're looking for all this. But now you know what to expect, and it's much harder. So let's try to stay
Yeah,
afloat instead of allowing ourselves to go too far.
absolutely.
Well, okay. Felix, before we leave, I wanted to make a couple announcements here, and then we will say goodbye till the next time because we also planning on meeting with you again, and you will
Mm-hmm.
share, not may, will share the professional side of
Haha.
this
Yes.
yes, diagnosis. But let me show the remind some of the pieces of information that we have in the group. So you already have heard I mentioned today that every other Wednesday we have a support group meetings in the group. This is when our group members come together, and I
Mm-hmm.
am there. Very often our registered dietitian Kim Kyle is there. Sometimes some other healthcare professionals are joining us there, and we are basically talking about what our members are challenged with at the moment. Somebody has the questions about the diet, somebody has the questions about the stress, somebody has the questions about physical activity. So we're trying to come up with some solution suggestions for everyone. So that's every other Wednesday. Of course, every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we launch the new episode of our podcast, Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360. And then there is one thing that we are doing this every last Saturday with Kim Kyle, a registered dietitian. We do this Diabetes 101 for caregivers. This is a 2 hours crash course, but it's not the same all the time. It's the
Hmm.
information, we broke the information into pieces, and we would, on one session, we spoke about the shopping and how to read the labels, and another we were talking about insulin resistance, and then spoke about the healthy fats and healthy snacks and A1C. All these pieces are uh, important, and very often caregivers, they don't get to go to doctor's office, so they
Hmm.
have to figure out everything on their own. And we are trying to help people to learn more in more condensed version. And for those who wanted to see that, but somehow they missed the announcement, I wanted to let you know that we have our uh, YouTube channel called Smart Move 360, but the podcast is called Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360. So you could go to YouTube, search it for Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360, find there our channel, see what information we have there. We have their podcast, we have this one, the one that we are talking right now. It will be there. All previous podcasts obviously are there. We have the crash course for caregivers there. We have several webinars recordings there. We have several recordings of our healthcare expos that we were doing in the group. So all this information is available for you to take a look, learn something. Maybe you know someone who you would like to get a little bit educated in a much easier manner than maybe some course, because we usually have very casual conversation about the challenging stuff. So if you need the direct course, you probably need to look for something stricter than that, but in a friendly manner, the way how people easily can understand and relate, that's what we are trying to show you. With that,
For
we
sure.
are wrapping up. Again, thank you very much for joining me here. I hope everybody who is listening to us today learned something. At least you learned about the YouTube channel where you could learn more.
For sure.
And let's meet again next Thursday. But for today, everyone, please have a good rest of your week. And again, Felix, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.